Hello and welcome back to the CRE podcast, a Christian resource exhibition, the one-stop shop for resources for churches and Christians. It's a fantastic event and you have to be there. I mean, I say it in every podcast because I want to meet you. You guys listening to this, I want you to come over to the Monkey Nut Stand, say, we're listening to that, and come over and we can have a chat, have a cup of coffee, and we can find out more and you can meet all these wonderful people. And that's people you've already heard from, but also Dan Herbert from DSAV. Nice to see you, mate.
Hi, good to see you too.
It's fantastic that you're here. I'm really excited about the product you brought, but we're not going to go there quite yet, but I wanted to make it quite clear. I desperately want to go there now. I just want to make that clear. So you basically work with churches, and a lot of them, installing AV. For people who don't know, that's audio visual. So do you want to give a quick overview? What would that look like, for example?
Yeah, so we get involved in churches from the outset, whether it's a new build looking to have a whole new system or to integrate some of their old equipment, or it might be a church who have purchased some stuff themselves and they just want to be able to make it work. And we often find that we're sort of sorting out other people's problems where they've with the best intention in the world tried to set it up and
we know
found
nothing about that.
Something not quite right, or the induction loop isn't very loud, or the live stream isn't loud even though they've got everything turned up full. And we often do those little bits of fault finding that help them with that. A lot of the systems that we put in, we provide good training on. We'll make sure that we're there for their first Sunday service.
You do the training as well?
Yeah.
That's great.
We do a lot of, we ensure we train them to give them the best start with their new equipment. And that's often being there for their Sunday service to make sure that it sounds as it should and to just sort of hold the hand of them when they need it. And then we'll go back and we'll do sort of training sort of 3 or 4 weeks later to answer any questions they may have, maybe make some little adjustments or whatever. But we do anything from audio and visual to live streaming and that side of things as well.
I think that the support element straight away is just a little golden nugget that you do at DSAV. I think that is absolutely brilliant. But I think some people could be a bit frightened by the thinking, I have to install this, it's going to cost me £1 million. But it doesn't have to be that way. I can imagine it could be quite sort of be a big variety.
Some of the projects we do are churches where it's their first audio system, which always surprises me that there's still churches out there with no system whatsoever. And a lot of what people want is something that is just really easy to use and that they know when they turn it on, all they've got to do is flick a switch and it will work.
Because in churches, like the people listening to this right now, they know it's quite hard to sometimes just have the one person who's going to be there every Sunday.
Exactly. And churches don't have an endless supply of volunteers who are AV technicians who can, mix the live stream audio separately to what's happening in the room, or that can sit there at the back on a, mixer. It's just not possible. So a lot of the systems we put in are geared around ease of use and a literal 9 times out of 10, you turn it on, use the system and turn it off at the end.
So how did you get into it, Dan?
I got into it many years ago when I was a teenager, and I got involved in...
you got the bug.
Yeah, at my church, I got involved in doing, I wouldn't call it mixing, but I was certainly pushing faders up and down. I was probably not doing a lot that you could audibly hear sort of thing, because at that age, you kind of want to be involved and you think you're doing something, but you're not that sure sort of thing. And after I did my A-levels, I went and worked at the local theatre as a trainee, and I did that for 2 years. When I left there, I then joined B&H, who were run by Brian Hilson. I met them at Spring Harvest, and I became their first employee as installation coordinator, having never done an install before in my life. And my background was lighting more than audio, so it was a bit of a baptism of fire. But that's how I got involved in it. And then, things happened in my career where I went off and that. But there came this opportunity to start a company doing what I'd been doing before, because I wanted to do it for God. I wanted to do it for the church. And that's why we understand churches a lot more than sometimes some of our competitors, because what they can be seen to be doing is kind of looking at Sunday morning. And to us, Sunday morning is the culmination of what happens in the church.
Yeah.
But the verger midweek who needs to turn the system on or stream a funeral or whatever it may be, that's just as important as Sunday morning. And so that's where ease of use really has to come into it, because it needs to be something that can just be turned on, press a button, and it's doing what you need it to.
I love how you talk. And also I love that you do come from that church background. You've got that passion for it. You know from a young age what it was like being behind a desk. It's really, really important to see the bigger picture, which perhaps not everybody would. So I think it's incredible. We're going to explore a little bit more of that. But come on, don't let me wait any longer. I asked you to bring something with you, and you've got this really cool bit of kit here. Now, usually I'd lean over and pick it up. I'm not going to do that today. But tell me, what did you bring with you? What I will do for the extra camera is I'll do that kind of glamorous hands thing. So if you watch this on YouTube, here we go. Adam, is the camera ready? Okay, here we go.
This is a digital hymnal.
Hymnal. So we're talking like hymns.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what it is it's a unit that will play backing tracks of music. Generally, it's used with the organ sound that's inbuilt, and there are a number of different presets of the organ. You can have a flute organ, you can have a pipe organ, you can pretty much choose the organ that you may have already have in your church or had in your church. So is it like
triggered with MIDI?
So
it's got some organ
it's all
samples.
MIDI inside. So all the organ samples are inside it, and it's got nearly 3,000 hymns in it already. So you're generally likely to find any hymn you've ever heard of in there already.
And that comes preset. So when they get one of these, they get 3,000.
Exactly.
Now, I noticed that you've got some built-in speakers.
Yep.
Okay. Now, this is me being a geek, obviously running Monkey Nut, I'm into this sort of stuff. But I'm guessing there's an out which you can plug into the desk?
Yeah, so you've got the inbuilt speakers, which are actually quite powerful. You can use them in a small room. So if you're doing a home group, or even if there's 20 of you in the hall, you could use this sort of thing. What you have got on the top as well is you've got a headphone out. So if you wanted to be setting it up and listening to it without the speakers, you can do that. It's also got line outs as well. So you can plug it into your sound system.
Cool.
At one church, we've actually plugged it into their organ where they found they'd got a line in on their digital organ, of course. And we plugged it in there, and actually it works very well from that point of view. And you can turn the speakers off. Okay.
And those speakers are, what kind of speakers are they?
They're 30-watt speakers. There's two of them, and they're actually, if we turned it up full, you'd be sort of shouting and putting your fingers on your ears.
So we've got microphones which are pointed away, right? So and these are directional microphones.
Yeah,
One's pointing at me, directional microphone pointing at you. That means for you listening or watching, that means unlike say like a microphone which you see hanging down if someone's singing, or like doing voiceovers or audiobooks, which we do here, which will pick up everything surrounding the area depending how you set it. This is hopefully trying to cancel out a lot of the noise around it. So that's what we mean by directional. So can you talk me through it? I want to push some buttons.
Yeah, so basically at the moment, we're just set on the play feature, which is basically standalone. We just want to play one hymn. So if you type in a random 2-digit number.
A 2-digit number?
Just a 2-digit number.
Hang on, let's get Matt over there on the sound. Matt, shout out a 2-digit number.
24.
2 and 4, 24. Okay.
So if you type in 24... what that will do is it'll tell you the hymn at the top in the blue line.
All the earth proclaim the Lord.
Yep.
There we go.
So now, if you press the accept button on the bottom right,
this is easy. This is great.
That will now take you to that hymn. And what it tells you on there is it tells you the pitch, the tempo,
come on,
whether you have an amen at the end, whether there's an intro, whether you've got extra time between the verses, how many verses you want to play, because it might be that you only sing 4 of the 5. And if you just want to play it as it is, if you press the play button along the bottom, that will now play on the right-hand side.
Oh.
And that sound is 50%.
That's 50%.
That's 50%.
I mean, I'm raising my voice.
Yeah. But it gives you an idea of what it does. And
can I tweak?
Yeah. So if you press the tempo, it will change the speed of it. If you change the pitch, so you've got a plus and minus for the tempo. and a plus and minus for the pitch.
Well, this is the problem. So I play in worship band,
Mhm.
so I pick up the guitar and join him. And one thing which varies all the time is whoever's leading
Yeah.
will change that key.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I don't sing that high, so we're going down there. And I'm constantly, well, I'm being lazy, actually. I'm putting a capo on,
Yeah,
right? However, we can do that on here. So let's just do that now. So I'm pressing start. Okay, I'm going to take it down a semitone. That's great. Pause this. So let's take it down. Let's take it down a tone and a half. Okay, right. What I want to do now, just because I can we hear a different type of organ?
Yeah, so if you go
This is
to
great.
styles on the left-hand side,
Dials, yeah.
what that now lets you do is choose which organ you or what.
Ooh.
And there's about 100 or so different instruments that you can choose on there. It starts with organs.
Let's go with
goes-
devotional.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go to devotional here. I'm going to click accept. And I should be set now. Ah, I'd quite like that at Christmas.
And you can choose electric piano, you can choose guitar, you can choose piano and guitar. There are lots of different variations of style that you can have. But as I say, because there's so many different types of organ in there, if you've got an organ that is on its way out or that needs repair and you want to use something that still sounds like the organ that you've got, you're likely to be able to find it on there.
So me, obviously, I've worked in my field for like 26 years, right?
Yeah.
So there's something that stands out for me there is that it's good that it's quite a dry sound as well, because I'm guessing that once it's gone through the speakers, you've actually got the church to consider, which will create the natural ambience reverb, which will create that big kind of echoey sound as well. Is that deliberate?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, it is quite a dry sound to give you the ability of it just to resonate around the church.
That's cool. That's cool, because I think the wrong person who created that would have chucked it on.
Yeah.
I think that's very clever and really good, and because it's even with some churches, like some of the modern churches. So let's just say, for example, we might play a track from Hillsong Worship or Bethel or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But there's usually a hymn or two in there, and I can actually see what would be quite nice. And I don't know if I'm sowing a seed for somebody out here of actually playing that and actually playing almost alongside with it. So we can sort of modernize, but have that kind of organ in there as well. Do you know anyone who does that?
I know of churches where they're using it to help their worship band because they haven't, there's two people who sing and one of them plays the guitar, but they want, the piano to lead and they haven't got a pianist. So that's where this can come in handy and be really used for that sort of growing small group who are missing, a main part or whatever.
Well, thank you so much for bringing that in. So you go to CRE, I think DSAV, you've been going CRE, about 15 years now?
Yeah.
So what do people expect when they turn up and see you at your exhibit?
Well, we normally have at least a digital mixer on our stand because a lot of people like the fact that, faders move and there's color lights and everything like that. And whilst some people aspire to that in their church, it's a great starting point for having conversations with people because people just, it's like an icebreaker. We often have pan-tilt zoom cameras and some streaming equipment and just the ability to be able to talk through people's projects. We also get to see people who we see every year. It's always great when you see one of your clients coming past, and a lot of our clients become friends. We've even stayed at some of their houses when we've been doing installs. It becomes very personal with what we do. And it just means that, every year you see the same person, or they might interject when you're talking to someone and go, oh, we've had a system from them. You want to talk to them some more. It's just such a nice feeling.
Have you got a maybe like a sales story from CRE?
So we've had a lot of customers who we see, as I say, regularly. But then there's those ones who we talk to sort of over the years. And then when we look in our system to add them again, we find we spoke to them last year or 2 years ago. And actually, one of the things that we find from CRE is it's all about being seen there. And it's all about people knowing that we still exist. Because one of the, when we, by exhibiting just in the Christian place, exhibition as such, there's nothing like it. And it means that you see people that, you get to be familiar with and everything. And working with churches, it's not straightforward. It isn't something that, you see someone one day and they buy something the next. Sometimes we've seen people, and as I say, it can be 3, 5, 7 years from
After
first
6 of their monthly
Exactly.
meetings.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it really is about the patience that has to go with that, because a lot of these volunteers give a lot of their time to the church, and the project is often one of many that they're juggling, or, as it goes for a faculty, for example, in the Church of England, you're having to just be patient with them. And we try and touch base every so often without phoning them every week going, are you ready yet? Because it just doesn't work like that.
No. And would you say for yourself that you would just go to CRE every year? What would you say to so that's question number one. Would you go to CRE every year? Can you see yourself stop going? And secondly, what would you say to churches, church leaders who have never been to CRE before and go, oh, do you know, I keep meaning to go, but I haven't been. What would you say to those people?
Well, CRE is really about seeing a lot of serious companies who work in this marketplace, who have a real passion for what they're doing. And it's not just somewhere where people pop up and, do one and then disappear. The key is really to look at who's been there for many years, who's got a proven track record in what they're doing. But you just can't find another exhibition like it in the Christian market, where all of these companies from diverse backgrounds that do anything from photocopiers to coffee to AV systems in one place. It's unique. It really is unique. And that's why we've been doing it for 15 years. We do very few exhibitions, and this is one of the key staples in our calendar. And whenever there's regional ones, we sign up for them straight away.
So one last question for you. How is your AV company, so DSAV, how is it different from other companies doing the same?
Well, we feel called to do what we're doing. And that's why when we look at going and seeing churches, every church is different. Sometimes the outside of the building looks the same, but they're all different inside. And there isn't one size fits all for AV systems. It's often a compromise. And what we're always looking for is we're looking at the function, the aesthetics, and just making sure it's the right fit, and that we get it right from day one, that we build a relationship with the people that we're talking to, that we explain to them why we're suggesting something over something else, that we can have that discussion with them, and hopefully they can see that we've got the experience of working in churches, which are magnificent buildings. And what we want to do is not just put a black speaker on a white wall or on a column or a pillar and that be it. We want to make sure that the technology is functional but is discreet. And there is so much that you can do now with technology that's available, where you can do that, or where you can paint it, or where you can wrap it in vinyl, or whatever you need to do to ensure that when you stand at the back of the church and you look down, you don't notice the technology.
What I'm picking up is just the passion that you have for the kingdom and why you do what you do. And in case you're not watching this and you're only listening, I'm picking up on that. And I think that's something that really shines out. And if I was running a church, I would want that that passion to come in and do that, and also the training, I would imagine as well. I think what you're doing is great. Thank you so much for bringing this hymnal with you. It's what a joy to check that out. Wish you the very, very best. I'm going to see you at the next one. And if you want to come along to CRE, which you should, do come along. Come and see Dan. Come and see myself. You're very welcome. We want to meet you. We want to speak to you. Come and check out what it's all about. If you're thinking, I did go a few years ago and I haven't been back since, come along. It's growing. It's so exciting. It is so much fun. So do come along and see us. And Dan, I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. at, we may as well just say it. So it's in October, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can find out more about that in creonline.co.uk. I'm just trying not to give specific dates because it will kind of make this a bit, in a couple of years' time, this podcast will still be there and I've given some weird date.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to avoid that. But creonline.co.uk. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the CRE podcast.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll see you next time on the CRE podcast. And you're always welcome. Tell your friends. If you know someone who will enjoy this, tell them as well. And in the meantime, you take care. God bless. Bye-bye. To find your next Christian resource exhibition, please visit creonline.co.uk. We'll see you there.